Good morning.
Good
How are
morning,
you,
Deborah.
Suzanne? How are you? Are you ready to talk about psychosis?
I I'm good. Psychosis,
Yeah,
yes.
let's just jump right in.
Okay. Well, you know what? Today is about Gene Key 61 week, right?
Which is the shadow of psychosis.
Shadow of psychosis, which leads us to the gift of inspiration and the acidic state of sanctity.
Yeah. So
Sanctity.
I like how sanctity and sanity have because I'm like, I want to go there. But anyway, so let's start at the very beginning. I love this because it's very contrarian to talk about um, psychosis to the masses who tend to believe it's something that only certain people display or have as a what's the I forget the big fat book of diagnoses for
Oh,
psychological.
yeah.
So so how do you define psychosis and how does it show up for you? And then I'll be happy to share for me.
Hmm. Well, with psychosis, it's like we want to categorize everything. So, it's either science or religion. And we've had the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere do its thing. And so, religion takes care of the right hemisphere, science takes care of the left, and we get caught up in the maya of what we think life is all about. And
Yeah,
so,
I'm emphasis on think. Um,
yeah. Well, it plays with the partner of intellect, which is
exactly.
the shadow of the 62nd.
Right. And I love that because that's, I love playing in the intellect. But anyway, so how does psychosis show up in your life? Because I think letting our listeners know that this is something that we all dance in this playground. So or jump rope or whatever your game of choice, but we're all in the playground of psychosis. How does it show up for you?
Well, for me, I believe that it's when I've come through a breakthrough, but I'm like, then I question, was that really real? Um, because my imagination goes,
Mm-hmm.
and I I then just question everything and everything around me, and have this like space of the unknowing that is so out of my realm that I'm like, um I don't always dare talk about it because I'm like, well, most people I think would not agree because their perception of life is very different from mine. So that's where I think a lot of times people have stepped out of
So
reality.
for you, do you run back into your safe place of knowing, or what does it? I want to know how this works for you.
I'm breaking out of what I think I need to know and expanding into allowing myself to explore something that I've never understood or have known. It feels very uncomfortable, sometimes chaotic. That's where I feel like the psychosis might, play in. But this is the interesting thing. We all are on some level psychotic.
Well, that's the point. Is what I'm trying to point is it's an everyday thing that we
Yes,
all experience, and it's because we look at the world through our mind's eye. We
right,
think that what we're seeing out there is real.
right.
This is psychosis. We tend to think psychotic people are people that have a break with reality. Well, we all have a break with reality because there is a lot more.
than what we see.
Right. So for me, I understand for you when you get into a new place and you're like, is that real? Did that happen? Did I? So we question when we have something that's from the 5D or the 10D or whatever experiential, spiritual realm we've visited, which I would call sanctity. But where we are as humans is
Yeah.
we are caught up in what we see, what we read in the news. That's real. That's the real thing. So how do we break with that mind uh control? And because if we don't, we can't get to inspiration.
Right.
Inspiration means we have to let go of this lockdown. I mean, it really feels like a lockdown. Everybody complained about COVID, how we were like on lockdown. Well, our mind does that to us all the time.
Right. Well, and I think that I love this key because it is all about transcending this mind thing.
Right. And which
And
we all need.
right. And so when I have played in this playland and it feels good in my body, then I know I'm onto something.
That's what I want to know. So when you're in a place of psychosis, for me, I feel stuck because there isn't anywhere else to go.
Right.
Right. It feels constricting. It feels like somebody is making me hold my breath, which if you hold your breath for any length of time, feels like you're going to die. So we immediately are like, oh, and then we have our own ways of dealing with it from there, either in anxiety or depression or whatever. But turning to something that's creative, and now I'm playing with the gift,
Mm-hmm.
listening to music, something that gets us out of this. And music, speaks to all of our cells, not just our neurological pathways,
Right.
but the rest, our body might move to the music, or we might have a smile to the beat, whatever it is, but there's something else that happens. It's a different kind of communication than just to this. And this is why I think when I'm in a fight with a loved one, no names mentioned here, I need to stop talking because the words keep me in the mental game, which is a very limited playing field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I go, and I've been accused of going and like cleaning the kitchen counters, or moving around the room, straightening cushions. But
Well,
that's what opens me up, right? I'm shifting the energy in my space and in me so that I can have a different view, you know?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
recognizing what I'm wanting people to do is to recognize how we hold the shadow in our bodies so we can go, oh, because our body is our first like, did you ever read that book Blink? That sometimes we can't even think of something, but we have an automatic knowing of something because we get information from so many levels. Well, our bodies will tell us before our mind registers, oh, so where the more somatic wisdom that we tap into, which for me feels like that constriction. It feels like my throat closes down. I stop breathing. My shoulders go up. I get tense. And then I'm like, okay, can I breathe into this and make more space? Is there room here for love? Is there room here for something different than what I'm seeing?
Right. I want to just address the two different
Oh,
natures.
please. Yeah.
So the repressive nature of this shadow is disenchanted. And so it's like when someone tries to turn away from the shadow or the pressure of this shadow. And so as he said, this is obviously from Gene Key's Richard Rudd exploration. And he says, disenchantment is an inner giving up that usually has its roots in our childhood conditioning. it is hiding from our own question because it terrifies us. The inner question scares us because if we pursue it, we will have to break away from all that feels comfortable.
Yeah. That's like, setting off in a boat that's unmoored and you're like, I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, that's that unknown place.
Yeah.
Um,
Uncharted joy, maybe.
the uncharted
Um,
joy, babes.
yeah. So
Yeah.
what's the other version?
The other one is a reactive nature. It's fanatical. And so such people find they become frozen and fixed on a single answer to their inner question. So they like latch onto that. And such people find safety and comfortable place in structure, leader, creed, direction, which they've become attached to. So they don't explore beyond that. They like become super fixed.
And that to me sounds like people that we might consider uh like the far conservative or the far liberal. I mean, like the really radical thinkers that think this is the only way, this is the only person to run our country, this is the only. And knowing a few people like that, they are very sad about what's going on in the world, but all they want to do is they want to stay in the place of unhappiness about it and complaining about it. Like there isn't space for, like there isn't an opening,
right?
Or what's another way?
What's another way? Yeah, the other part that Richard identifies, is beneath the surface of every reactive nature is a well of insecurity that bubbles to the surface as anger. And this anger further protects them from having to deal with the true question within them.
Which is probably where a lot of us, from all the crime shows and stuff that we've watched in our psychology classes in college, we've got these thoughts around people with psychotic breaks or people with the diagnosis of psychosis, that they're killers, right? And this is where we're really leaning into a way of looking at this word. Well, first of all, we all need to understand that we all are all of it.
Exactly.
There's not like that person over there is conservative and I'm liberal. No, I have conservative parts and they have liberal parts too. We're in the mix, we're in the soup together. So when we call that person psychotic, can we see our own psychosis? We are addicted to what we want to see in the world?
And can I just say that whenever you point, remember 3 fingers are pointing back at yourself.
My images on my screen are telling me that every time I do the hand actions. It's like,
you're touching today. Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's get to the gift and the
yes. So the gift that is birthed from this psychosis, and that's what's really interesting. Think of it as a seed. And the thing that merges from that is inspiration.
Emerges. Yeah, that emerges from that.
That emerges from it is inspiration, in spirit, we are in spirit. It's God working through us, right? God is the pressure that opens us up to possibilities, all kinds of possibilities. So that is really delicious and beautiful. He says, creativity is the single most important gift for drawing humanity out of its mass psychosis. So allowing each one of us in our creative endeavors to create heaven on earth for ourselves.
Yeah, and for each other.
And each other, right.
Yeah. And this is where the innovation can happen. So this is why I believe a lot of the tech companies, out in Silicon Valley and other places. And I know my ex-husband had a tech company. And one of the things they would do when they would get stuck on some building of some circuitry or whatever, is they would go play darts or play pool. They had a dartboard in their office. They had pool in their office. They had a fridge with beer. They would break open a beer and talk about stuff and play, and then it would be like, and you could, yeah. And what's so funny is how we need to move. I do this when I get stuck, I'm building this landing page for this program, and I get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. It means I'm hitting the wall. Stop. So when I get up and walk away and make myself something to eat, spend some time outside, all of a sudden things boop, 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 kind of fall into place, or I'll get an idea of, oh, have you thought about this? So, but we can't get there if we're sitting in the moment going, I'm not seeing the answer. I'm not seeing the answer. Yeah,
Right.
it's because it's not going to show up for you in that moment.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
I love how he says the process of inspiration is the gradual releasing of your inner breath through the fabric of your reality and out into the world.
There's something that he also talks about with the art of emptiness. And that was something I never really got. I had a shamanic business coach for a number of years. And one of the programs that she put on that I attended as well was about running your business in a shamanic, ritualistic, ceremonial type of way, like following the cycles of the seasons and the moons and all that. Anyway, one of the things that she taught us is, in her lineage of shamanism, she was taught to constantly empty. Like every morning when you wake up, you go stand out or you sit out in the sunrise and you let the sun burn away all of that, whatever, karmic stuck old energy, so that you could receive all the inspiration and the creative and the life force that is yours to create with today. So we're not that we're, because we want to integrate all of the learnings from the past. I'm not saying like burn all that away, even though sometimes I feel like we let it run us more than we need to. But how do we empty from all of our individual mind chatter to allow the infinite intelligence to give us a download?
Okay, well, why don't you share the mudra of the week?
Oh, can you tell I'm doing it? Well, we haven't talked about sanctity yet. So this is the mudra for sanctity. And it's such a beautiful one. And it's so funny because I do things all the time with my hands, and I'm starting to realize how I'm practicing mudras. So these are also, they're ancient, but they've been compiled and put together in one of Richard Rudd's teachings. So in this one, you take your middle finger and you cross it over your index finger, like how we used to do promise or whatever. And then you take your thumb and your ring finger and you touch them together. So you've got like that. And your pinky goes out like you're having a glass of champagne. So you've got this beautiful symbol. And what this meant in the ancient times was it was the shelter. And this is the shelter for us to drop into in sanctity. We're safe. We're in sacred space. I'm going to cry. It feels so yummy. Oh. And when we empty enough, we can enter this space. How does that feel?
Mm.
And what is the note that you would hum or I love how he said how chanting takes you to the higher realms. He talks about different music evoking different types of energies within us and emotions within us. How rock is kind of the lower, energies, and how folk connects us to the earth, and but chanting takes us to higher realms. I'm like, I'm going to look up some chanting to play on my music. But Tell me about like a note that would open us to this space of empty us enough so that we could enter that space of sanctity.
Well, this key is connected, excuse me, this key is connected to your pineal gland. And that would be a B note. And you would either, and it's an N sound or even silence. Like if you're doing a toning exercise, and I don't have a B note on me right this second. Do I? Hold on.
If you pull it up and hum it from your phone, that might give us a.
All right.
Yeah, I think if you hum it, it's better than listening to it from the thing.
Yeah.
But there. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
You're welcome.
if we want to play with the mudra, with the chanting of even that note, with even singing a prayer, today's a new moon, the day that we're recording this, but there's something about putting something into the world, especially at this time of the new year. I think all the way up until Candlemas on February 2nd, we have this space to create and plant the seeds for the new year. So this is, if there's something that you're wanting to call in or empty from or whatever, this would be a great way to do the note, sing your prayer or your word of the year in that note, and practice the mudra. So, which again is cross, thumb and ring finger, pinky out.
And this is the really entering that inner sanctum of the divine within you.
I love that. I was joking before we started recording that sanctity is very similar to sanity.
It's our own
psychological thing.
It's nobody else's sanity. It's ours. It's our.
But I mean, but that's what it feels like to me. It's like, oh, this is the real world. This interconnected, unified field that I've been playing with lately, and I invite you to join me. It's a great place to visit. And yes, I would want to live there. You know, a lot of times they're like, oh, it's a great place to visit, but you wouldn't want to live there. No.
Oh, that's where I like to live. Yeah.
So any thoughts to add to that before we close today?
Well, I do have cards today, totally different decks.
Okay, well, let's get out of let's expand out of psychosis and play with inspiration.
Inspiration.
What might show up? Yeah.
What shows up and what is the holy thing that we need to know? So you can choose 1, 2, or 3. Which deck?
And 2.
That's what I thought too.
So one of these days I'm going to have to choose one, but you know.
No, this was good. So this is Angels of Atlantis Oracle deck. So we are visiting with Stewart Pearce. And what I love about this is this deck also relates to sound. So depending upon what we choose today, what do we need to know this week so we can empty ourselves out and just
be play in the playland of inspiration and creativity and sacred sanctity.
Oh, I like that roll there.
That felt good too.
Okay. Top, middle, or bottom?
Top.
Okay. Oh my God, I can't make this up. It's Gabriel and it's inspiration.
No. High five.
Hold on. High five team to our team.
That is awesome.
I know. Okay. So I'm going to read this to you. So let's see. Hold on. Still there. Sorry. Okay. So can you see it?
Yep.
Or is it?
It's a little there. That's less glare over to that. There you go.
Okay. Inspiration. Take a deep breath and visualize your breath force as a beautiful blue light filling you. Gabriel will guide you to connect with the flow of the universe with God's breath. When flow occurs thus, Gabriel removes the tensions and holding points that have prevented you from creating love and joy in your life. Inspiration means to be influenced by the divine. And if you take several moments to enjoy Gabriel's breath as your breath, relaxation will abound and creative ideas will swiftly flow into your consciousness. Therefore, allow stillness to facilitate the flow. Pushing doesn't allow, it merely creates resistance. Chant Ra Amen 3 times for the channel of angelic inspiration to remain open, and yet protect yourself with a golden light around your aura as you move through the business of your life. Thereby, you will protect the exquisite vulnerability of your soul's truth. Ra,
Exquisite vulnerability of your soul's truth. I want to underline that. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Ra, Amen. So it's RA, capital AMEN, 3 times. So
In the tone of B would be really appropriate.
let me just get that for us. Hold on. Ramen. Ramen.
Amen.
Ramen.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Thank you, Gabriel.
It's one of my favorites. I didn't realize he was to call on for inspiration and creativity, and I've got this big thing I'm working on, so I could use your help.
Well, it's communication.
Oh, got it. Of course. Yeah. So I think that's a wrap. I think that was a beautiful way to end up. And as always, we welcome your questions, comments, and if there's something in particular that you enjoyed, I would love to hear what that nugget is. So till our next time together, peace out.
Love.
Bliss out. No, sanctify out. I don't know.
Get the space.